Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Sky Cassidy. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. How are you this wonderful Saturday?
I'm doing great. Beautiful day out. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you betcha. Yeah. Well, I'm grateful that you took the time to come on out here and share with our Savvy audience some remote working opportunities out there. I don't think businesses and employees realize the wonderful opportunity that's come about. You know, we didn't expect what happened a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, but it has offered opportunities for both businesses and employees alike. What have you found? You are the CEO of Mountaintop Data, and also the co-host of If You Market podcast.
Yeah, and thank you for being so nice, taking the time. I'm actually a little late jumping on here, so thank you for letting me point that out instead of you. It's kind of amazing. I see it as an evolutionary jump in business and people's lives, and unfortunately, it came because of COVID. But this sudden ability to work remotely, I think it's a democratizing force. I think it's a great thing. We had a woman on our podcast maybe a year before COVID hit talking about remote work and her frustrations with people just not thinking they can do it, managers not believing it. And when her team would go in and get people to work remotely, once the managers were like, oh, my employees will still work. In fact, there's more productivity. It was like this great weight lifted, and that's been forced on everybody. And I see kind of two great things this has caused. It's caused employers to be able to hire from anywhere. All of a sudden, you're no longer restricted. We had a problem hiring salespeople because our geographic area wasn't rich in talent. So you get all these pockets. Now, all of a sudden, people can live in Montana if they want, and they can work for a high-tech company. They can live just about anywhere. A lot of the jobs, not all of them, but the marketing, the jobs, the sales jobs, the HR, a lot of these jobs can be done from anywhere now. Suddenly, you don't have to have the high cost of a city. You can live where you want, be a happier employee, more productive. And the employers can hire from anywhere. So it democratizes in that you don't have to be able to afford to have your company in Silicon Valley, to have a high-tech company, and you can still hire the talent. In fact, they may really prefer when you're working out of who knows where, Oregon. Well, I don't want to just say the Montanas and North Dakotas. But then you get this other thing going on where employers can hire from anywhere. And employees now also have this power where they're like, wait, I don't have to move across country. So now I can also work. I can look at jobs I wouldn't have considered before. But both sides are just held more accountable, because the employee can be like, look, if you want to keep me, you're going to have to do this and that. But if you're not doing a good job as an employee, they can replace you a lot easier. I mean, in the past, remote work was like, oh, we could get somebody out of India to do this programming, and that was done some. But when suddenly it's like, wait a second, we can get the guy we would have gotten in Silicon Valley that's now living in upstate New York, and he's better than you, and you're being difficult. So we're just employees can just get replaced, but they can also jump. So there's this, oh, we both have to do a good job. The company has to be good to the employee and provide good compensation. And the employer also has to do a good job. So suddenly it's like the competition is open wide between employees. There's no longer the power dynamic of the big companies that can afford to pay for somebody to move are going to get all the best employees. And that's why I say it's democratized. Suddenly small companies can compete way more. It's a great thing, unfortunately, coming around because of COVID.
Yeah. And that's the blessing I saw too. I had no idea that I used to go into Manhattan, and I saved 2 hours a day traveling from Brooklyn.
Commute. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The commute, 1 hour one way, 1 hour another. And
just freeway building. Like in the past in LA, it was people commuting 3 hours in from San Bernardino because they can afford to live out there into LA. And it's, we got to build more freeways. We need to build more housing close to the work centers. Nope. Now you don't. Now all you need is to be a small town, have good fishing and high-speed internet, and you can get people to move to your town.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? I had heard, well, there's this thing missing. And I do agree that connection, physical, sometimes is necessary. I myself love physically connecting with people. But what has been given to my life as far as time is money, and both for business and for employees, all this extra time to spend with your family, to not feel rushed to get out the door to deal with the traffic. It makes you less stressed. It makes you a better employee. There's so many benefits that have come out of it that I think far outweigh any negative side effects. If you need to have, powwows once a month or something, I really do think it offers the best of both worlds to be able to
Yeah.
allow for remote work.
People will fly in. I was talking to a guy on customer support the other day, and we just started talking about this because he was doing customer support remotely. And he was like, "Oh, but I'm in San Francisco now, like for a week because we're meeting in person." And then it's almost like a vacation to go to the office. And it's exciting to go to the office. And it's just done right. There's so many great things that can come from remote working. And one of the things I'm really excited about, I grew up in a small town. And I had thought many times, like, I wonder if I could move my business to that town. Well, we can't really get the talent. Oh, I don't know if they have good enough internet. It would be kind of cool to move the business back to that town. Now you can get the talent as long as they have good high-speed internet. I see an opportunity for small towns to market themselves and to really have a boom where you can take a town like mine that had less than 1,000 people and say, oh, we just brought in 50 people that make over 100K a year. Now there's cash coming into the town instead of like a Walmart scenario where we're like, oh, all the cash is getting siphoned out of the town. Suddenly now, because you have nice hiking trails and a good quality of life and good school, people want to move into your town, and all you need is that high-speed internet. The one thing that's needed, and I've said this on some other show once, and I'm challenging somebody to go do it. There is not a good one right now. Come on, high-tech Silicon Valley people or somebody who wants to move out, is a dating site for towns. And that's where basically you can look up like you would on a dating site. Here's the things I want. I like all of these things. Now, where in the country can I move? Where has this? So it isn't just the couple big cities that people know about that are in small, get overrun, like Golden, Colorado, overrun all of a sudden, because that's the one name people know because it got press at some or whatever place it is. You get a couple small towns overrun and then they hate it. Like, no. Create a dating site. So all these small towns that would love to attract a dozen people who want that lifestyle can be found. And it would just be wonderful for people. Somebody make that. You can make a fortune. All the real estate companies will want to connect so they can sell find out who wants to move for real estate. Like there's so many opportunities there. And just it would be good for people. So
I love it.
Coronavirus sucks, but the opportunity, the evolutionary leap it has given for workers, this may be one of the greatest benefits to workers since I don't know when, since unions came around. And this may make unions unnecessary anymore because the individual employees have the power to move now without having to get up and move. So they're not shackled to companies. It can be a great thing. I'm excited by it. I'm excited by what can happen as we come out of coronavirus and this is still here and people can start focusing on things like that and jobs are coming back. It's going to be an exciting next decade, I think, for American workers and workers all around the world. But I don't know anything about other countries.
Yeah. No, I love this. And it's interesting. I'm working myself with a company in New York. And when I started with them, one of the things that attracted me to them is that they have the idea that their employees can go remote. This is before COVID. And I was like, I love that idea because I love working with a company that I can have flexibility with. And having been a consultant and then now working with a company, I know I wanted to work with someone that would allow me the flexibility. And they do that. So what was really awesome is that now with COVID is opening that up to not just where I was working, but with so many other businesses. And it's just, like you said, it's just going to democratize and open up so many more opportunities because there might be like, here's something I heard and tell me if you've heard this guy. I heard this one woman say, you know what? I've always thought about, I wanted to go on vacation in Greece. How about I work in Greece? I'm remote. If as long as I can get that high speed internet, I can be on some beautiful oceanfront, coast of, Greece and be doing my job, depending on what you're doing, it could be possible. And that's what she did. She actually moved to Greece.
I did that for a while before I took over as CEO. I was doing sales remotely and I traveled around Europe with my wife after we got married. We took 6 months and traveled around. I was considering moving to Costa Rica before I met her. And this was all it was really difficult back then to work remotely, but I could email. It's like, as long as I have a good email connection, I was able to travel and do stuff. But we had another woman on our podcast. Again, check it out, the If You Market podcast. And that's her job, is relocating people internationally. She
Ooh.
knows these areas, and she does like that dating thing where she's like, what do you want? Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, here's a couple countries you can move to where you can get, for this
Mhm.
much money, you could live there. You can work what you want to work. This area has a,
Mhm.
an American community. So if you don't speak the language, you'll be fine in this town that has all these resettled people, expatriates there. And it's, yeah, the quality of life, again, democratization in the sense of competition through holding people accountable
Yeah.
as well. Because now, if
Mhm.
you have a great place to live, people can move there that
Yeah.
they just couldn't before. Before it was like, oh, only retired people can move here. There's no opportunity.
Mhm.
Everyone's trying to get out of my hometown. I remember when I was little, because there's no opportunity. There's nothing.
Mhm.
There's no future there. And now it's, you can have a future anywhere.
Yeah. See,
Kind of
I
awesome.
love this. I love that. One thing I'm getting from some of the companies I've worked with is that, oh, well, workers work better when they're together. I think they feel this idea that when we're under one umbrella, oh, it's just you could see things better and keep on tabs and better. And it's not true. Most companies I've talked to have been with their workers remote for like a year and 8 months or so, some still
Yeah.
remote. So, I mean, it's letting go of the old. And I think that's a little hard for people to realize that no, it's okay. You can let it go. There's new opportunities to let go of the old and realize the new isn't a bad idea. You can still have those powwows from time to time, but this just opens up the market for talent. It opens up the market for employees to move, to grow, to have a better quality of life, and for cities to grow. And I love that you mentioned that for towns or different places that might not have people wanting to move there just because there's not that opportunity you were talking about.
I could see, I remember thinking years ago, oh, it would be cool if I could get my friends and we all scattered to various places to all like move to the same area to live. But that's not possible because like we're not all going to get work in one area and it's just impractical and we're starting families. But now it's like, oh, there's this beautiful town, a couple hours outside of Pittsburgh, old steel town. I'm making this up, but old
Okay.
steel town, and everything's run down, and you can get houses super cheap. And I could see people just being like, "Hey, me and 20 people I like in our families are all just going to move to this town, buy a house, all live in this." And these towns have an opportunity to be revitalized now,
Mm.
just because in the past, unless you reopen the steel mill, what are you going to do? Unless a new factory opens, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But now it's really just, hey, this is a beautiful area.
Mm.
It's an old, sometimes these towns are gorgeous because they're old and just like all these beautiful brick towns and really
Yeah.
nice, beautiful areas, but everything's shut down and run down and boarded up.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. And you
It's
know
really
what's
exciting.
interesting, Sky? I've seen some of those old warehouses converted into apartments with the high ceilings, and oh my God, they could be so beautiful. I know we could go on forever, but you have just really brought to the forefront this totally cool idea that I don't think a lot of businesses have thought about, the wonderful opportunities that have now opened up for everyone, cities, towns, businesses, employees. So I really thank you, but I want people to find out where they can find out more about you, work with you. How can they do that?
Yeah. So my company provides data for marketing, business to business. We don't do consumer stuff. If you find me on LinkedIn, I'm just Sky Cassidy. There's not a whole lot of us that look like me. Um, on LinkedIn, that's where I primarily reside. Our company, Mountaintop Data, just mountaintopdata.com. Anybody needs to be able to reach out to a target audience for business to business marketing, sales. Come check us out there. We've got a platform, Top Data Search. People can sign up for a free account and search our data and see what we have. Only have to buy data if they want to download it. So everything is free to come in, like no credit card issuing anything. Our whole philosophy around that is, this is what people want. Companies have held the consumer hostage in our space for a long time, forcing you to sign long contracts, forcing you to make a commitment before you can see anything, forcing you to pay for every login you have to their platform. And we say, no, we're a data company. The software is a convenience. And so we want you to come for the information so you can help grow your business.
Awesome. Well, you've given so much wonderful insight today to our Savvy listeners. I thank you so much, Sky, for coming to Savvy Broadcasting today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
You betcha.
like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.